So Ukraine has just pummeled Russia in a number of places with drones and missiles. We're going to get to that, but first we're going to talk about the normal things that we talk about, like the battlefield casualties, and we'll also talk about frontline analysis and why some of the Soviet hangover is still affecting the Ukrainians on the battlefield. Let's get going. My name is Darren Gerdes. It is Friday, January 10th, 2025. So there's 1,830 Russian casualties day over day, and if you think about that, that's reasonably high. And if we're looking at the top 10 highest days for casualties, the oldest of these is back in November 12th, November 29th. Everything else is December and a couple of Januaries. So the fighting's been intense. And if you look at the average 1830 today, that brings the average for January up to 1588, where it was 1566 in December, 1515 in November, October was 1354. So the other day I talked about how it's going to be somewhere around May by the time we hit 1 million Russian casualties at a constant rate of 1,400. We're in 15, 15, and 15 in November, December, and January, I think is very fair. We may very well hit that date before that. Okay, 1830, 10 tanks, 32 armored fighting vehicles, 24 artillery systems, 86 vehicles and fuel tanks, and 3 air defense systems just yesterday. Here are 2 of them over the past day. Ukraine's defense forces destroyed 2 9K-317M Buk M3 air defense systems and launch unit in the complex in southern Ukraine, Operational Command South report. Okay, so that's 2 of the 3. Now, overnight, Russia launched 72 Shahed drones, of which 33 were shot down, 34 were suppressed by electronic warfare. So that's 67 out of 72, so a few got through. A shot down Shahed fell on a high-rise building, damaging the building and 24 cars. Okay, so the Russians are actually getting through and doing some damage, but not a lot of damage with Shaheds. Meanwhile, Andrew Perpetua's list is not here. He's talking about this, us getting over 260 videos per day and dying from overwork. Them, we're on a media pause. That's a media pause, 260 videos per day, trying to tabulate all the vehicles and things that have been hit. Wow. Ukrainian security services struck Russian reconnaissance drone storage facility in the Rostov region last night. That's big. That's going to be a force multiplier. If you can knock these guys out, then you have it takes a lot of the workload off downstream. The depot was hit by drones and a Ukrainian-made Neptune missile. According to the Kyiv Post sources, the attack also targeted Russian air defense systems. So one of those might have accounted for those air defense systems as well. Okay, then Ukrainian drones destroyed a military industrial plant, Tax-Deductible, that manufactured various composite material products in the Rostov region, fiberglass and basalt fiber, etc. Okay, Russian military, a little bit more about that. Ongoing explosions following the Ukrainian drone strikes in Leningrad region. The zone is home to the 218th Aircraft Repair Plant and various machine, instrument, and electronics factories. And then we have a Ukrainian drone that travels 1,000 kilometers to strike military factory that continues to detonate near St. Petersburg. So multiple regions, these drone attacks. This was a massive attack, and they're all hitting these plants or depots or factories where drones are stored or something. Right? It's something pretty significant. Again, 238th Air Artillery Brigade headquarters struck by several Ukrainian drones in Krasnodar Krai. And again, everything showing something is either on fire or has blown up or something along those lines. A dark day for Russia's military factory masquerading as civilian production facilities. And that's part of the trick here, that because the Russians will claim, see, they're just hitting these civilian targets. At least 3 factories are hit by Ukraine's growing drone fleet. Here's Noel reports. According to Ukraine's Center for Countering Disinformation, the attacks on Gachia's Ingria Tech, Plastifactor, and the Chaltry brick plant in the Rostov region targeted sites secretly used by Russia for military production. Russia passes off these plants as ordinary ones, trying to hide their real production, but everything is known. All right. Now, Anton Gerashenko also posted this. Just thought you'd like to know that the fire at Engels Oil Depot still continues 2 days after it was reportedly attacked by drones. The depot stored fuel for the Russian military airfield nearby. So that's still going. And again, if they can't actually put it out, they're going to have to let it just burn out on its own. Now, there was also this article in Radio Free Europe that Russia blames Ukraine for deadly attack that hit supermarket in Donetsk. Okay, Russia accused Ukraine of conducting a deadly missile strike on a supermarket in the Moscow-controlled city of Donetsk in eastern Ukraine after a wave of Russian drones attacked several Ukrainian regions, including the capital of Kyiv. Now, clearly something has happened. We know that. We don't know what caused it. It could be the Ukrainians, and probably is, let's say. But were they attempting to hit a supermarket, or was it something hit off course, or was there some other reason there because the Ukrainians, generally speaking, tend to try to hit things that have a multiplier effect, like an oil depot or a factory or where drones are stored. They don't tend to go after a civilian population like that. So we don't know exactly what happened. The state RIA news agency said Russian investigators were looking into the attack early on January 10th, claiming a U.S. supplied HIMARS missile hit the supermarket, killing 2 people. Ukrainian officials have not yet commented on the Russian accusation, but it just seems out of character to go after a supermarket. So it seems like that wouldn't have been the target itself. Now, let's also look at the battlefield. Russian forces recently advanced in the Pokrovsk direction amid continued offensive operations in the area on January 9th. Geolocated footage published on January 8th indicates that Russian forces recently advanced, and look at the map. It's just like, so here is Pokrovsk, and we've showed you this before in different ways, but here's Pokrovsk and his sister city, and there's battles here, like they keep gaining ground. Let's not fool ourselves. The Russians are gaining ground, and it's hot around Pokrovsk. Now, one of the problems that the Ukrainian military is, and look, let me go back. I'm showing you this because I want you to understand the reality of what's going on the ground. Okay, let's not trick ourselves. Yay, there's a massive drone strike. Ukraine's winning. No, Ukraine actually did do well with that. But on the front line, they're having a hard time holding Russians back, and they're doing a very good job with the resources that they have, but they're still being pressed on all sides. Now, part of the problem that the Ukrainians still face is that they have this Soviet mentality that's still there that they have to weed out. So, and this is not just Soviet, this happens to everyone, even in normal business. Like, you don't want to tell the boss bad news. Okay, the door to my office is always open to everyone, said a commander of the ground forces, addressing the issue of inaccurate battlefield reports. False reports on lost positions have been a problem in the armed forces, as lower-ranking commanders often conceal losses due to fear of harsh punishment. So let's just watch this little video. I'm going to read it. Mikhail, please tell us how we can improve communication between soldiers and commanders of the lower branch, so that fighters simply do not fear to convey real truth from the battlefields. I will show you an example. Commander-in-Chief is on his way, and the doors in his office, these are open to anyone. For a start, I demand this from all commanders of the lower branches. Commander-in-Chief is eating with soldiers in one dining room. Do you understand? We are working on everything, and it's very important, because building trust and unity as a foothold is already success. We will improve with my demands to younger commanders of all branches, but it is extremely necessary, do and continue to have positive results, so that they do not fear to convey true information. Okay, so that's really important, that they're thinking that way and that they're getting accurate information. And that plagues everyone, but it particularly dogs the Soviet mentality. And Russia has a lot more of that, I think, than the Ukrainians, but it's still there in Ukraine as well. And we want to be honest about what's actually going on. Okay, now yesterday I posted this on YouTube. I'm curious how you think that I can improve my videos. Now, when I say this, people try to cheer me up. This is not low self-esteem talking, but an ongoing quest to make sure that I'm doing the best for those who care about this horrible war in Ukraine. So if you're willing to listen to me, I want to give you as much as I can properly, the right kind of thing. I don't want to talk about something that you're not interested in or something that is off topic. I want you to get what you're trying to get out of this. In my MBA program, we learned about total quality management. If I can just continue to improve a little bit here and a little bit there, before long, I become significantly better. But I need your feedback. Thank you. So 152 of you have replied to that already. And if you have any ideas, please reply as well. But I'm showing you that, so there's two things here. One, this is not low self-esteem talking, but ongoing quest to make sure I'm doing my best. Okay, because sometimes when I post this kind of thing, they're like, no, keep going, prof. You're okay. You're doing it. No, it's not for that. I'm not looking for attaboys. That's not the point. I just am trying to actually improve your user experience. And I didn't even know for many months that my volume, for example, was too low, or that my camera was blurry, or that sort of thing. But John Boy 4964 said you need more sweater vests. So John, today this is for you. Now, I said your wish is my command, at least about sweater vests, and I'm just a kind of a nerd that likes sweater vests. When I was teaching high school before I finished my PhD, I was teaching history and government and econ. And on parent-teacher conference day, I would wear the ugliest sweater vest imaginable. Just think like the worst shade of brown with buttons on it that were made out of like leather. It was a weird, like it looked like the nerdiest thing. But the parents met me and we talked about their kids' progress, and they were assured by my fashion choices that, yeah, maybe he does know what he's talking about. He's nerdy enough to wear that, and so something's not right, but yeah, he's academically okay. All right, last little bit. There's never a wrong time to have coffee. I'm a tea guy myself, but yeah. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.